So today, we're looking at number 18 and why you couldn't solve it. Because you couldn't get it factored. This is partially factored, the 2 comes out, but this part won't factor. You can't break it up into like x minus 5 and x plus 3 or whatever. That will not factor, and if it won't factor, we can't find the 2 numbers. If it had factored to this, it would be 5 for this one and negative 3 for that one. You remember how we did it from there? We would average those 2, and that would be our x of our vertex. How would you average 5 and negative 3? You would get 2 divided by 2 is 1. The average of 5 and negative 3 is 1. And then you'd take that number and stick it in the equation. All right, but the reason this one wouldn't work is because we couldn't get it to factor. That's the point. I haven't told you the answer. So, just listen. Listen. So that, I'm just showing you why we couldn't do it. But there is another very powerful equation that's built into the quadratic formula. You don't have to do the whole quadratic formula to do it. Do you remember the quadratic formula started with x equals negative b? Yep. Plus or minus square root b squared minus 4 ac all over 2a. Good. But I bet you didn't know this, that if you erase all this part, that negative b over 2a part, that part will tell you the vertex. I just never showed you this way because the other way is easier, I thought. But you know, as I'm thinking about it, maybe you guys will like this way better. So let me show you how you would do problem 18. Everybody do it with me, that way you have one less homework problem tonight. Look at number 18, and you tell me, if I were to say one of these 3 parts is missing, was A missing? No, it's the 2. Is B missing?
No.
What's the B? The B is not the negative 6, though. What did I just do? I just added in a 0x, and I'm trying to show you that this has an A and a B and a C. So do you get that that part is C, that part is A, and there was no B, and therefore the B term was 0? All right, so if you were to take this equation now and stick in negative B over 2A, you'd have, what's B? That's A, that's B, that's C. What's B?
Plus 0.
0. If I have negative 0, do you think that really does anything? No, it's just 0. Over 2A. 2A all over 2A. And 2 times 2. So it's 0 over 4. And what is 0 cookies divided amongst 4 people? You still have 0. Now what do we just figure out? X equals 0 is the vertex so far. X equals 0. So if x equals 0 is the vertex, that's the first part of the vertex. Some of you aren't writing this down. Come on, get with me. Write this down. This is number 18, and I'm halfway through it. So far, I've got that x equals 0. But now I need to know what y equals. Because we need the vertex, and it's 0 comma something. You already did ones like this. Once you know the x, what are you supposed to do with it? Stick it right back in. That's right. Stick it in where? Well, you go back to the original equation now. The original equation is all the way back to the top there. Right there. This part I'm not doing for you. You put the 0 in that equation. If you can't do that, you're not even trying. And then figure out, don't say it out loud, but figure out what the answer is and write it right there, and you have the vertex. Stick 0 in the equation. See what you get. You get a negative number, otherwise you're not doing it right. So that goes in there. What is 0 squared?
It's 0.
It's 0. Because it's 0 times 0, which is 0. And you times it by 2, and it's still 0. And then you go minus 6, and you get... No, you don't get 0. 0 minus 6. Negative 6. All right. Okay. So, I did that one for you. And I want you to remember what was the formula that I just used to solve this kind of problem. X equals, but you don't have to do the whole formula. It was just the beginning and the end. Negative b, and then there was all that stuff we skipped all over. Now use that to find the x of your vertex. Try that now. So you know what A, B, and C are, don't you? There's A. Where's B? I don't know. There's C. You got to figure out which one's missing. I made this one up, so you're trying this to see if you actually learned anything from doing number 6 or number 18 with me. You can do it off on the side, or you can use some scratch paper. If you need to borrow something to write with, you got to give me some collateral, cell phone, some keys, whatever. Okay.
Scratch paper?
Here. No, not that. Use this. And hand some to anybody else that needs some scratch paper. All right. So, hopefully you figured out that it was 4x squared plus 0x minus 5. Why did I do that? Because now you can tell A, B, and C. All right. Shh. Stop it. All right. So negative B. Negative, well, put the numbers in. Mr. T, what is B? In this equation, what is B? Nope. You're saying that's the B spot? Nope.
No. 4.
That's the A spot. Try one more time. Exactly, so what's B? 0. So it's 0. That's exactly the point. When there isn't a B in this equation, like this has an A and it has a C, but it doesn't have a B, then that means, that's why I wrote this out. That means that the B is 0. And if I have 0 divided by 2A, do you get that no matter what, it's going to be 0? Now, did we just figure out the whole vertex? No. We just figured out that x is 0. So, you should know what to do with that. Yep, go plug that in. Yep, and then figure out what y is, and you'll have found the vertex. Got 0? Back in here. Okay, what did you have? When you put the 0, 0 comma what?
0, 4.
Nope. Here's where the 0 goes. Do you agree with that part?
Yeah, I agree. Yes.
Then 0 squared times 4, maybe you were thinking that that comes out to 4, but it doesn't. The 0 makes all of that go away. Because 4 times 0 is just 0.
Yeah.
What's left? That part.
5.
Negative 5. Who had 0 comma negative 5? All right. Well, I have it on your paper, otherwise it's hard to believe you. All right. So write this. Y equals 3x squared plus 2x minus 1. I just gave you A, B, and C. Now, the cool part is that you can find the vertex with the way I just showed you faster than you could factor this. You know why? Because then you don't have to factor it. You get how factoring on this kind is a real pain? So then, what's that little formula? It's the quadratic, except it's only the beginning and the end. Write it. Don't say it. Write it. The little formula. Yes, come on up. Write that formula. Are you writing the formula? Doesn't seem like your pencil's moving. I'm pointed to you and I pointed to lots of people. Write the formula down. Here, some scratch paper. I think that was a flaw in my system. Should have handed out the scratch paper like I always do. Because people are writing all over their worksheet and stuff. Thank you. Here, take one of these. All right now. Write down that formula. Here, hand that to the back. Oh, we gotta wake some of you guys up. That's good. All right, so did you have x equals negative b, and you skip, well, it's like 1, 2, skip a few, and then you just go to the end.
All over 2.
All over 2a. Negative b over 2a. All right. He says b is 2. I agree with him, so I'm going to put a parenthesis right there, and I'm going to drop in the b is 2. And I'm going to replace the a. 2a, right? So what's the a? A is 3. So then when I put this together, it's negative 2 over 2 times 3 is 6. Can I simplify that? Negative 2 over 2 times 3, and the 2's cancel, leaves 1/3 was correct. Negative 1/3 to be exact. Cool. What do we just figure out? That's part of the vertex. I'll hold up. So what I did there was I started with x equals negative b over 2a. That's a little formula you'll need to know because on your test they aren't going to all factor. If they factor, you can do it that other way. But honestly, this might become your favorite way because you just have this little formula, negative b over 2a. That might work pretty good. So it came negative 2 over 2 times 3. Yep, so it was negative 2 over 6, and then we reduced it to negative 1/3. Now, that's a good question. What's why? So I got my 1/3 for my x. Now I got to go and stick it back in here. Now, this is a little bit of a pain because it's got a fraction, but it's not impossible. I honestly can say that the test wouldn't have one this hard. Negative 1/3 squared plus 2 times negative 1/3 minus 1. There it is. Whoo! But I wouldn't make it that tough on the test. All right, so let me give you another one that would work out a little nicer. I'm going to pause for a second. Why? We never figured it out, but it's right here. And I don't want you guys to, if you ask a question, that's a good thing. So don't, I know a lot of you didn't know the answer to what he was asking. Just let me answer the questions that get asked. All right, so this is why, and I know, I never figured it out. I'm telling you, it's so nasty that we wouldn't have one that's that difficult. So let's do one that's kind of like what would be on the test. Okay? I'm going to pause while I write this question out properly. Okay, so here it is. Y equals x squared. Imagine you're on the test, which is coming in a few days. And my plan right now is that we test on Friday. Okay, it's currently Tuesday. Then that means we have Wednesday and Thursday to review. Test Friday. The good thing is that then that's your last test. You just have to study for the final. We got a lot of time to study for the final, which is really good. Okay, just a second. That's not the whole problem. Now that's the whole problem. Okay, and what's that formula again? Negative something. Write that down if you haven't already. Y equals negative b over 2a. And then stick in the right numbers. And that's not y equals. It's x equals. It's that x equals negative b kind of formula, except it's only the beginning and the end. All right. Now, once you get this done, you'll have the x of your vertex. Let's say it came out to like 8 or something. Then you got to stick that back into the equation to figure out the other part. I don't know that it's 8. I'm saying you got to figure that out. All right, I'm going to pause while you give this one a try. All right, so I was asked a good question. They were not sure which one A was because it seemed like there's nothing here. It's always A, B, and C. Do you get that they're just in order alphabetically? A, B, and C? All right, so what if there's nothing there for the A? What is it then? It's a 1. That's correct. Okay, don't make it you're really angry. It's gosh. Okay, so negative b is negative of b. I like to do these skeleton things. You remember that? You put parentheses in where the variables are, and you stick the numbers in the right spots. And you simplify it down, and it's going to work out nice. I'm going to pause. We give this a try. All right, so here we go. Did you say negative of -2? See how b is -2? That negative is going to get a lot of you because you won't notice that there was actually two negatives. That's a positive 2 then. Positive 2 over 2a. That's a. A is 1. That means 2 times 1. That means positive 2 over 2, which means 1. How many of you got a 1 for your x? Awesome. All right. Maybe with, come on. Wake up. What, did you watch what I just did?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot.
All right. So 2 over 2 is 1. All right. So now, what do I do with the 1? Stick it up in the equation. I put it right here, and then I see what I get. All of these 1s multiplied is just going to be a 1, right? So figure out the rest of it. It's a big negative number.
The 1 times 2.
This is not a times. It is a minus a 2. That's a minus. This is not this times this times this. You don't multiply them all. That's a big add, subtract kind of problem.
Negative 9. What is it? Negative 9.
This part's 1. This part's -2. This part's -8, and you're adding them all. Nope. You got 1, you got -2, and you got -8. That all put together. Did you get -9 is correct. Because this part's -10, and that part's +1. That makes -9. Who actually would have had that one right? All right. 3 people. All right. I'm going to give you one more like that, and then I'm going to give you a break. Try to get this one right. Okay? Almost. 3x. Go, wait a minute. I got to pause a second. Okay. Sorry about that. Here is the actual problem. Write this down. Grab that pen. Stop farting around with stuff. There you go. Good. 2x, or sorry, x squared minus 2x minus 3. You haven't written it down. You write it down too.
Okay, I will.
Good. Put it on scratch paper. And then the question is, do you remember the formula? Don't say it. I want people that haven't been paying attention to, they don't get it. Do you remember that formula we were using? Once you get that formula down and you stick the number in, you'll have found x. Let's say it comes out to like 3. Then you just go stick it in the equation. I'm going to pause for a second while you give that a try. Okay, CF. What's the formula? Serious? You didn't write it down? Oh, what is it then? Yes. It's not y equals, it's x equals -b over 2a. Excellent. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but I like to make them into skeleton formulas where they just have the bones. There. Now it's a skeleton formula. It's ready to have the numbers stuck in. All I did is replace the b with parentheses and the a with parentheses. All right. So, what number should I put here and here, Mr. TW?
Top one is -2, bottom one
-2 and a 1, because that's a 1. Now, Mr. CF, simplify this down. -2 makes, so hold on. What does that make? -2. Okay, what does that make? And then the final answer? There you go. 1 comma something. Okay? Once you put in the 1 back into the equation, that goes way up to the top, up here. You put your 1 in there. Simplify it down and see if you get it right. All right, so I have a student doing this one, and he says that adds up to -4. Do you guys agree? Yeah, I agree. It's -4. That's right. Yeah, you did. Nice job. 1 comma -4. Yes, sir. Yes, if you want to borrow a calculator, there's no problem. There's one right here. You just come up and borrow it. Okay. That is called the what? That is called the vertex. That's called the vertex. That was the whole point. So if I graphed this, do you get my graph would go over 1 and down 4, and there'd be a dot, and that's the parabola with that being the vertex. That's what we just found is the low spot in the parabola. When you find this special point, the vertex, it is the most special of all the points. Just think of it this way. All these other points can't say that they are special. I mean, everybody thinks that they're special. But really, out of all these points, the only one that can be at the very bottom of this is the vertex. All the other ones, in fact, this goes forever and forever. They have infinite points on it. But only one is that special point. That's the lowest spot. That's the vertex. Or if the parabola is upside down, of course, there's only one spot where it's the very highest point. That's also called the vertex. Yes. Yes, you may. All right. So, one last thing. I haven't seen you doing the work back there, so until you keep working, you've written something on the piece of paper, but all right, just hold on. So, your homework for last night was that, what color paper is that? Cream colored, ivory colored? That's not salmon.
Yeah, that's salmon.
If you see a salmon that looks like that, that's a dead salmon. That's different than...
Salmon
All right.
is actually colored salmon
So,
color,
would you please take that out, and we're going to do a couple with you. Remember how it was in, what did we do last time, evens? Take a wild guess what we're doing this time. The odds. All right. Look at number 1. All right, read me number 1, Mr. CF. Keep going. All right, so I know some of you guys actually would rather use that method I just did, the negative b over 2a thing. If you want to do that, though, the downside is when they're written like this, you have to multiply them all the way out to figure out what a, b, and c are. You can. It is a choice, but I'm just going to remind you how the other way works. That answer for this one is 5 because we don't trust the thing on the inside. Remember what I'm talking about now? And negative 1. And then what do I do to those two? I average them, and that gives me my x. I don't know what's faster. I actually think that is faster than trying to multiply it all out and then doing negative b over 2a. So it all depends. It's kind of like saying, what's the fastest way to build a shed in your backyard? Well, it kind of depends. It kind of depends. It depends on whether or not you've got power tools or whether or not you're going to have to build it truly by hand. It depends. Well, what's the fastest way to do this problem? Because of how it started, I think the fastest way is just to find these two numbers and average them. Isn't that faster than negative b over 2a? That's pretty fast. So how do you take 5 and negative 1 and average them? You add them together, divide by 2. So what does 5 and negative 1 make?
Negative 4.
Nope.
4.
4. It adds to 4, and then you divide by 2.
2.
There you go. See, I got my first thing, and then I just go stick it back up in. That 2 goes back up in. Here and here.
2 minus 5 is negative 3.
And then I always said it was going to be opposites, right? So if it's negative 3 first, what's the other one? Positive 3. So 3 times negative 3, negative 9. There it is. So I think you really need both ways. That's so much faster than having to multiply it all the way out and then do negative b over 2a. It would have worked, but this is faster. All right, so there's number 1. Let's do number 3 together since we're doing the odds. Would you read me number 3, please? X minus 1 and x plus 3. Okay? then the answer for this one is, don't trust the thing on the inside. It's not -1, +1. The answer for this one,
-3.
-3. Stick with me. I'm on number 3 now, and you're drifting. All right. So I got my two numbers. What am I going to do to them?
Add them and divide by 2.
Add them and divide by 2. Very good.
4.
That does not add to 4, though.
-2.
-2, and then divide by 2.
1. -1.
-1. So I just found the first part of my vertex. Now I take the -1 and stick it back up in.
1.
All right. Once you find that, you're going to put it here. I'm not saying the answer. You have to figure it out from there. All right. In my opinion, now, number, on the odd ones, number 17 is just like number 18. So do you remember you came in this morning and you said that you can't do it that way? You were absolutely right. But I have taught you a new way to do number 17. Maybe you should, guys, next to number 17, maybe you should write that formula. You're still not doing what I'm asking you to, so I'm still not going to the bathroom. Look at number 17. What did I just say? I said to write down that formula. What is the formula for number 17? What's the formula? What's -b over 2? You're right, but what's in front of that? X equals -b over 2a. And then hopefully you can figure out what a and b are. You stick them in, and then you'll have your x. That number shows up right there. You figure that out. All right, and that is all I have for you for today.